A very good morning, dear students. In measurement of matter, let us proceed with the further part of the lesson, that is atomic size, mass and valency. Now, many scientists tried to find out about the atom and they discovered that atom consists of an internal structure. Okay. Now, you can see the different models. According to the J.J. Thomson model, which was given in the year 1897, he put forth the plum pudding model, in which there are negatively charged electrons which are embedded in the positive charge. In the year 1911, Rutherford put forth this gold foil experiment, in which he said that the atom consists of a tiny, dense or massive nucleus, and the electrons are revolving in the orbits, okay, which are negatively charged. So this was put forth by this. Now, atom has two parts, that is, the center of an atom is called as the nucleus, which consists of, and the part outside the nucleus, which is called as the extranuclear part. The nucleus consists of two elementary particles, that is, positively charged protons and negatively electrically neutral neutrons, whereas the extranuclear part consists of the negatively charged electrons. Now, atom is very tiny, and so it is impossible to see the atoms with the most powerful optical microscope. Even the thickness of the page, if you consider the thickness of the page, it consists of around 10 lakh atoms which are lined up together. Okay, in the thickness of a single sheet of paper, there are around 10 lakh atoms. So you can imagine how minute or how small is an atom. So it was impossible with the different microscopes. So modern instruments like the electron microscope, okay, field ion microscope and the scanning tunneling microscope. So these were used to find out the structure of the atom. So field ion microscope, one of the picture is shown here. It is of the iridium atom, which was taken with the help of field ion microscope. Now here you could see the different spots. So each of these spots represents the atom. So you can imagine how small an atom is, or it could be. Fine. Now, what is the mass? The size of the atom is determined by its radius. Okay, so it can be found out from the nucleus. The distance between the nucleus and the outermost shell is called as the atomic radius. So if you want to find, we cannot find, there are certain instruments for measuring this atomic radius. So atomic radius can be measured by using the distance between the nucleus and the outermost shell. So depending on that, we can find out the atomic radius. So the atomic size depends upon the number of electron orbits, okay, in an atom. So the greater the number of electron orbits, greater will be the atomic size. Okay, again I repeat, it is depends upon the number of electron orbits. Suppose there are more number of electron orbits, then the atomic size of the atom is also more. Okay, now let us take an example of sodium and potassium. Now here in case of sodium, you can see that there are 3 electron orbits, whereas potassium there are 4 electron orbits. That means potassium has a higher atomic radius as compared to that of sodium, because potassium has 4 shells or 4 orbits and sodium has 3 orbits. So sodium size is smaller as compared to that of potassium. Whereas if we consider the number of orbits being same, then how we can determine the atomic radius? It's very simple. The more the number of electrons in the outermost orbit, its size is less. Now here in the case, sodium and magnesium both of them have the presence of 3 shells, whereas magnesium has 2 electrons in the outermost shell and sodium has only 1 electron in the outermost shell. Therefore, magnesium has atomic size of magnesium is smaller because it has more number of electrons. This you are going to learn in standard 10 why it is smaller. So right now it is not required. So you just remember that the more number of electrons in the outermost orbit, the size is less. So the atomic radius is expressed in terms of nanometers. Now what does that nanometer mean? Now if you divide a meter around 1000 crore times, okay, I'll just tell you again, 1000 crore times, no sorry, 100 crore times if you divide a meter, okay, so each of that 100 crore part will be 1 nanometer. So that means 1 upon 10 raised to 9 meters is 1 nanometer, or you can also say that 1 meter is equal to 10 raised to minus 9 meters. So this is how we are expressing. So 1 nanometer is equal to 10 raised to minus 9 meters, or 1 meter is equal to 10 raised to 9 nanometers. Fine. Now let us see the different, let us see the atomic radius of the different atoms and molecules here. So hydrogen atom has the atomic radius around 10 raised to minus 10 meters. Water molecule has the atomic radius of 10 raised to minus 9 meters, whereas hemoglobin molecule has the atomic radius of 10 raised to minus 8 meters. Now let us learn about the mass of an atom. Now you know that the mass of an atom is concentrated in the nucleus, right? Last year you have learned about this, that the mass of an atom is concentrated in its nucleus. So mass of an atom is concentrated in its nucleus. So this you have already studied in the standard 8, right? Now why it is said to be it is concentrated in its nucleus? Because the nucleus consists of the heavier mass particles called as the protons and neutrons. Okay. So whereas electrons are very negligible in mass. It is due to the protons P and neutrons N present in it. Okay. Now the number of protons and neutrons, that is P plus N, is the in the atomic nucleus is also called as atomic mass number. So this already you have studied in standard 8. Okay. Whereas electrons have a negligible mass, that is why the mass of electrons is not considered as the mass of the atom. So only protons and neutrons, which has 1 unit, both of them have 1 unit or 1 dalton of atomic mass. So the number of protons and the number of neutrons together, it is called as the atomic mass number. Correct? Then protons and neutrons are together called as the nucleons, since they are present in the nucleus. Now if we take the atom, it's very tiny in size. Then how do we determine its mass? Okay. Now atom, this was very difficult task for even the scientists. So scientists to struggle with this question. It was not possible for the scientists of the 19th century to measure the mass of these atoms accurately. Therefore here a concept of relative mass of the atoms was used. So scientists came up with the concept of relative mass of an atom. Now what does this mean? It is nothing but the comparisons of mass. So one mass, a particular atom is taken as a standard atom whose mass is compared with the other atoms or other elements, and this way the relative mass of the atoms were found out of the different elements. So let us take an example right now here. Scientists came up with the concept of relative mass of an atom. So then for example, hydrogen atom being the lightest was chosen as the reference atom. Okay. Now since hydrogen is 1 proton, so it was considered as the standard atom for measuring the masses of the other different elements. So relative mass of hydrogen atom was accepted as 1. So suppose and it was compared, all the relative masses of the different atoms were compared with the hydrogen and found out. Okay. Now for example, if we take an example of relative mass of nitrogen atom, then nitrogen relative mass of hydrogen atom was accepted as 1, and it was compared with the nitrogen atom on a scale. So around 14 hydrogen atoms could form the mass of the relative mass of the nitrogen atom. So we could come to know that relative mass of the nitrogen atom was 14. But no, there was a problem in having a relative mass, because this gave the fractional masses, which is not possible, because protons and neutrons are the whole numbers, or that is why this concept of relative atomic mass of many elements came out to be fractional. That is why it was not used later on. Fine. Then so later on different other atoms were also chosen, and scientists finally chose different atoms as reference atom, and in the year 1961 they chose carbon as the reference atom. Okay. So carbon's relative mass was taken to be 12. Okay, the relative atomic mass of carbon atom was accepted as 12. So if we compare it with the relative mass of the hydrogen atom, then it is 1/12 of the carbon. That means hydrogen atoms is 12 times smaller as compared to that of the carbon atom. Fine. Then therefore the relative atomic mass of carbon atom is 12, and relative mass of one hydrogen atom is 1/12 of 12. That is 1/12. 1 upon 12 multiplied by 12 is equal to 1. Fine. Now the mass of one proton and one neutron are almost equal. Okay, that was taken as one unit. So in this table you can see the relative masses of the different elements according to the relative mass of the carbon. Okay, so this was comparatively, so relative mass concept was somewhat inaccurate. Therefore nowadays we have highly accurate methods for measuring the mass of the atom. So now the concept of unified mass has been accepted as the unit of atomic mass. So it is also called as Dalton. Okay, so which was given by John Dalton, and it is also measured in terms of one U, and 1 U is approximately equal to 1.66 in 0.53904 into 10 raised to minus 27 kilograms. So now what does this mean? That means 1 unit or 1 unified mass, which is 1 U or 1 Dalton, is equal to 1.66053904, or simply it is 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 27 kilograms. That means one proton weighs around 0.27 zeros and then 166. So that much small is so less is the mass of one proton or one neutron, and proton as well as neutron approximately has the same mass. So you can imagine how small is an atom based on this. So now we have studied two things. One is the atomic size, which can be determined by the atomic radius, and atomic radius is nothing but the distance from the nucleus to the outermost shell, whereas the atomic mass can be determined by the number of protons and number of neutrons which are present in the nucleus. Each one of them, one proton or one neutron, weighs around one unified mass or 1 Dalton, which is approximately equal to 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 27 kilograms. So this is regarding the atomic size and mass of the element. Now let us proceed with the next part of the lesson, that is chemical symbols of elements. So let us learn about the chemical symbols of the elements. So in chemistry, chemical symbols are indicated by the symbols. Each of the chemical element has a symbol. So each of these symbols of an element is the shortened form of its name. Now let us take few examples of the chemical names, such as hydrogen is represented by H, carbon by C, oxygen by O, nitrogen by N, chlorine by Cl, sodium by Na, antimony by Sb, iron by Fe, gold by AU, silver by AG, mercury by Hg, and lead by Pb. Now, many scientists try to find out about, to give the symbols for various elements. And it was John Dalton who proposed for the first time about the symbol for element. So, you can see here the hydrogen and copper, what was the symbol before when Dalton gave them. Fine. Now, but this cannot be used later on, for different types of elements, because it is very difficult to name them in the way the Dalton chose to. That is why, today we have the symbols determined by IUPAC, which stands for International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. Now, according to this, the symbols and names are mostly the first letter of the element. Okay, that is, you can see the different element symbols here, and it was given by Berzelius. Okay, now hydrogen is the first letter of the name. Then he also chose another one, like for example, if there are more than 2 or 3 elements with the same letter, beginning with the same letter, then the first and the second letter of the name was chosen. And again, there the prominent letter also, the first letter and another specific or prominent letter was used in the name. So the first letter is the capital letter and the second letter was the small letter. So this was how Berzelius gave. So hydrogen has H, cobalt has CO, calcium has Ca. Okay, and this way the chemical symbol of the different elements were given. Okay, so I hope so you have understood about the atomic mass, size, and the chemical symbols of the elements. So next time we are going to learn about the molecular mass and the mole concept in the next video. Till then students, bye and thank you.